present now, what we should expect from their company. Thank you.
So first of all, for introduction, I would like to ask to start a small video, maybe to add some energy to this.
Johann Strauss as a background.
Almost. So this short introduction of us, not to duplicate in the presentation. So we are a company from Ukraine, specializing on biofertilizers. Please, you can turn on the presentation. And more than 500 people. We cover more than 4 million hectares each year of mainly arable crops. So we are working for more than 25 years with biologicals. That is why we have got quite plenty of data. But let's start from the industry overview. So probably you know quite well the indicators of the fertilizers industry. Speaking about biologicals, of course, it's a little bit smaller, but it's growing quite fast. So, for example, here and today there are different assessments, but the market of biologicals is somewhere between 10 and 15 billion dollars. Also, the predictions are quite promising. For this market to grow twice or 3 times during next 5 to 10 years, which means it's quite an interesting market for investors, but also for the industry, because again, when we these days have presentations seeing the dynamics of fertilizers market, there is no so much growth predicted, and again we have quite low margins, and here is some more potential. And what is good about the biologicals is that it's quite easily integrated into the traditional schemes used together with fertilizers, together with chemicals, but increasing the plant's performance. So some other facts and figures. More or less 10-15 years ago, market was just $1.5 billion dollars. So you can see that it grows like 4 times, right? 5? No, it grows quite significantly during these 15 years and continue to grow. Of course, the speed of growth it's a little bit slowed down, but it's still much higher than for fertilizers. And of course, as for most of the industries, if before that was mostly about small like R&D startups and companies, now most of big multinationals are present in the industry, and now we have a few companies who are who grown for more than $500 million. And again, if in the beginning this industry was about high-tech markets, like in Europe at the time, now this market is bigger in less regulated markets and more like open-minded markets like Brazil, actually Ukraine as well. So from that, let's go to our experience. Again, during the last 15-20 years, we have gathered huge amount of data, and it's almost impossible to show each trial or exact situation. That is why we gathered this everything together and get some interesting data from that. So from our more than 2,000 trials we have gathered, more than 90% of them are successful, I mean profitable for the farmer, and the average increase of the yield is more than 10%. So as a company from Ukraine, we have much more data about industrial crops and grains, and here we have average increase of the yield near to 9 to 10%. but we also see and know from the industry that on vegetables, on high-end crops, or also on legumes and fruit crops, the potential of biologicals is even a bit higher. Then some more data, like we work with different biologicals with different functions. We work also with some humic products, we work with organo-mineral products which are more known like by the industry. And we can see, for example, that from these kind of products, average increase of the yield from our experience is near 11–12%. So this is a good comparison indicator because, for example, if you take nitrogen fixing products, phosphorus solubilizers, mycorrhiza, or like different combinations, we can see and compare it to those which are more known by the industry. I mean, for example, with micronutrients like boron, zinc, etc. Also, we have studied very different ways of application, like working with soil fertility, seed treatment, foliar application, biostimulants and bioprotection, and different combinations. And we also can predict what average increase of the yield farmers can expect on this or that crops. Then also we have some analysis about the efficacy of biologicals on different soil conditions, different pH levels. Of course, as mentioned, not always farmers know their soil, but we are lucky that our partners very often know what they work with. But still, what is important here is that biologicals are efficient in very wide range of pH, and even bacterial products, for example, are known to work better on like medium and higher pH, but we also have data on lower pH, it also works quite well. So again, they're quite universal. So then let's look on additional aspect about substitution, or I would say improvement of nutrients uptake by biologicals. So we started this direction more than 5 years ago from first trials in central Ukraine. So we took 3 main crops, like corn, sunflower, and soybeans, and we decreased fertilizers dosages for 30% to see how plants would behave. To our surprise, we reached the yield overreaching the control variance in all crops. So this gives us a good promise, and we continue studies with this direction for the next years. We also continue these studies in different European countries. Here is, for example, a study on wheat in Germany for 2 years ago. You can see we studied use of phosphorus solubilizer ground fix together with like normal scheme, and we increased the yield. But what surprised us, when we decreased the dosage of fertilizer a bit and used also this phosphorus solubilizing product, the result in the yield was even higher. Again, speaking about West Central Europe, like Germany, very often we meet very intensive fertilization schemes, and sometimes even higher fertilizer doses don't have any influence. That is why the potential for biologicals is high. Then this year trial from Ukraine, we also work with nitrogen fixing products like AzotoHelp. And here we studied different formulations of this product, because we have kind of liquid formulations which are a little bit more sensitive to storage conditions, but also we have dry formulations. But in this case we studied different ways of applications as well. We studied soil application to fixate nitrogen in soil, but also to use it foliarly to improve nitrogen use uptake. So in this case what we have seen that using 30 kilograms per hectare less nitrogen, we reached the yield which is even higher than on the control. So that is our kind of basic recommendation for farmers, that he can expect from 20–30 kilograms of nitrogen per hectare in field, but in some cases we get even 50 up to 80 kilograms of nitrogen per hectare provided by bacteria. Then another trial on sunflower. Again, we used here a phosphorus solubilizing product together with nitrogen fixing product, and we substitute 30% of the fertilization scheme without any loss of the yield. Then quite recent studies of last year from Greece. We gain new data from new regions. So here was a study on corn. We also substitute 20% of fertilizer scheme with increase of the yield for 400 kilograms per hectare. So you get additional profit from the additional yield, but also from some economy on the scheme. And similar trial we had on cotton. It's one of the first companies trials on this crop, but it's developing in a lot of the regions. And here we also get quite significant increase of the yield, like nearly 10% in few variants with ground fix and azotic help. And besides that, we do trials not only in Europe, not only in continental climate, but also in some new regions, for example, North Africa. And this trial was done in Ivory Coast, in west part of Africa. What we did here, we also had a normal scheme applied with ground fix and azotic help, which are like for phosphorus and nitrogen better uptake. And also we have a scheme with decreased rate of fertilizer. And what is interesting that corn reacted to these biologicals quite intensively in both variants. And in reduced fertilizer rate, we almost reached a similar rate of yield of corn. And then I would like to say a few words about the possible application methods of biologicals and some examples. So from this table you can see the soil application of ground fix, which is a phosphorus stabilizing product. So main way is basic soil treatment before cultivation, but also very often farmers say us, okay, we don't want to do few entering the field, so we want to combine it with something. So recently we get quite a lot of examples of use of phosphorus stabilizing products with soil herbicides. And what is specifically interesting is that we observe a few trials, maybe 10, where on the following year, like 1 year after application of the product, we still have a kind of after effect or a kind of bonus for a farmer with additional yield from bacteria. And besides that, quite popular now is in-furrow application of biologicals. This of course requires special equipment, but it becomes more and more popular. This way of application is very beneficial for bacterial products because here application rates are quite low. Here like less than 1 liter per hectare. And also we are using phosphorus stabilizing products together with spring nutrition, like with urea ammonium nitrate. We develop special formulations which are quite stable in tank mixes and provide additional benefits. And also what is interesting, even in this case of way of application, when you don't cultivate bacteria into the soil, you still can expect some after effect for the next season on the same field. A few words about nitrogen fixing product. Nitrogen inhibitors are quite popular now and trending on the market. And with azotic help, we had some trial in Austria where they used urea on wheat, urea with inhibitor, and then urea with our nitrogen fixing product, and everything together. So what we have seen from the results, that the effect from urea inhibitor and azotic help are comparatively similar, and there is a synergy of using them together. With our honorable partner Winfield in Ukraine, we also have a 5 years project already to enrich granular fertilizers with bacterial compounds. So we started 5 years ago with some laboratory studies to see different application rates on efficacy of the granular fertilizer. So what we have seen that both like plant heights and root development increased. Then we continue laboratory studies on different crops, different conditions, more replications, which confirmed the positive influence of bacterial compound in granular fertilizers. And also we start field studies in our own facilities and together with our partner on different crops like corn and sunflower. So this study, for example, was done by BTU site, and here we had a significant increase of corn yield and sunflower yield by enrichment of granules with bacteria. And we had some additional, quite a lot of studies on corn, sunflower during recent 4 years, where we also observed good increase of the yield using this technology. So we are waiting for the introduction of this solution by our partner, hopefully in nearest time. So a little bit more about this technology you can read in the New Age International magazine. And yeah, if you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer them.
Dmytro, thank you for sharing that there is a synergy between bacterial products and inhibitors. That was very valuable comment. And from the technical perspective, because we talk about this offline, but do you know any case somewhere in the world of inhibitors that are killing bacteria? I want to put it publicly because we hear on the ground, not from your company, of course, that most of the people reflect that the inhibitors are killing the bacteria.
Actually, this is a very good topic, and in the beginning, maybe 5 years ago, we received first request about this topic, and we always are kind of data-driven. So first thing which we did, we took the inhibitor which was proposed to the laboratory and look how it influences bacteria. And our microbiologist point of view was it's not so good because we can see the slow down of the growth of bacteria, some kind of inactivation. So they say better not to use it. But then we always follow also the practical side. And what I have presented was this one. I mean that bacteria are not so straightforward sometimes, and sometimes we observe effect not from the bacteria directly, but from the metabolites it produces. And in this case, I believe there could be this kind of effect, because even in case of inhibition of bacteria in the tank mix, after application or in the tank mix, it can provide some metabolites which still could provide benefit to the plants. So here and now, we are still careful. We recommend to check the compatibility of the specific inhibitors. We plan to do additional tests with other inhibitors, but I cannot say that it's like prohibited, because we can observe a positive effect.
Yeah. Thank you for this, because until recently what we knew is that the only toxicity is coming from a certain inhibitor which they found in the milk of some cows in New Zealand. Nothing in reality, but it was valuable to hear directly from you. Thank you very much. Anybody else? Here we got. Kindly introduce yourself. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Dmytro from Wittberg. Thank you for your presentation. I have a question about the biostimulants regarding the growth of the fungal life. Can say something about this? Because in every soil we have as well not only bacteria, as well fungi, and then this whole collaboration there would be interesting.
We have a big amount of data about this direction, because also we work with fungal products as well. We have data, for example, to also increase organic matter in soil, to increase biodiversity, to increase fungus activeness in the soil by using of, for example, Ecostern. It's a complex product. But also we work with some direction of soil biota activators, one of which is humic products. We also work with this direction. So just to brief answer to your question, yes, biostimulants can have positive impact on fungus development and activeness in the soil.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, thank you, Dmytro.
Thank you.
And I would like to invite our last presenter, but not in the